Well, charity might begin at home, but with so many young people from the US, Britain, and Australia still serving in Iraq, plus Canadians and even some Europeans in Afghanistan, our thoughts of charity at home often extend to young people serving their country in frightening and dangerous places. What better way to give them a touch of home than to send them a book or a DVD or something to remind them of their real lives and friends and families far away? Books for Soldiers was created to do just that. And here to tell us about it is the man who came up with this brilliant idea and turned it into a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Storm Bear Hitchcock. So tell me, how does an advertising and PR man like you come up with an idea as brilliant as Books for Soldiers?
Well, during the first Gulf War, I had friends that were in college with me that went to Saudi Arabia. They were all working in a army hospital in Riyadh. And I got all of my friends to give me their old paperback books. I had heard that all those guys, after the 4-day war was over, they were just bored out of their minds. So what I did, I took all of those books and sent them to my friends there, and they passed them out along the troops, and I got nice little notes back even a year after that.
Because it occurs to me that a lot of people are going to be saying, we're stuck out here in the middle of the desert. We're doing this really dangerous thing. We're really only teenagers after all, and we sometimes feel like the people back at home have kind of forgotten all about us because it's not as interesting as the Super Bowl or something else that's coming up. So it's a nice way for them to keep touch with home, isn't it?
Exactly that, and there's nothing printed in English, And so, when the Iraq War started, all my friends that were then veterans and had retired from the service said, you got to do the very same thing. But the need was so crushing, I had to do it in a way that was more self-service. So I put together a booksforsoldiers.com and recruited a lot of volunteers to look on their bookshelves. Don't have to send it to me, send it directly to the troops, and that's how it started.
And that's simply how it works, isn't it? People basically find that on the internet they can get access to a delivery vehicle that will get their, as Pamela might say, gently loved books sent over.
Gently used books, exactly.
And Storm Bear, tell me, is there any kind of security implications? Because it occurs to me that, we're a very, very security conscious world that we live in now, and all of these books being sent over to these our troops in the Far East and in the Middle East, do they have to be censored? Have you ever encountered any kind of security barriers like that?
Well, what we do to protect the privacy of the soldiers' addresses is that everybody that is volunteering for the site has to send in a application that has been notarized, identifying, giving us their correct identity, just so we have it on file. And once we have that application, and they agree not to disclose the soldiers' addresses to anybody else, then we give them access to the soldiers' addresses and their request, whether they want Stephen King or something else.
Yeah, I mentioned at the top of the show that and I wasn't kidding, I really do have some friends who are in the Australian Armed Forces and are serving in Afghanistan or Iraq. It's real. Many of us know people who are directly or indirectly involved in the war effort. Pamela, have you ever met anybody who's been involved?
I haven't met any of the soldiers per se, but I'm a nurse and I work with a lot of women who have children over in the Middle East. One woman I work with, one nurse, has 3 sons over there right now in different branches of the military. That's why they can all be stationed over there at the same time. But it does have quite an impact in this country.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are affected by it, and not just in the United States as well. Britain obviously still has a contingent over there.
Oh, yeah.
Storm Bear, how long have you been running this thing? How many books would you say you've shifted so far?
Well, I stopped counting at 400 tons, and that was within the first no joke, that was in the first 6 months.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I just gave up. I mean, it was just, okay, tell me what you want and I'll send it, but I can't track this stuff anymore because it's just too much.
And tell me, is there a particular style of book or DVD that they're after? I mean, do they want comedy to take their minds off the war or what?
They want war movies, they want war books, and they want war video games. They use the war they want the war video games to practice with. The strategy. No joke.
And Nintendo Online 4.
they'll get all Navy SEALs, and then the guys playing Navy SEALs will start playing some British troops that's on the other side of the compound, and they'll war with each other on their off time.
It's some sort of coping mechanism, that, isn't it?
But
tell me, what would happen? Well, let's say one day this war actually does end and all the Allied troops do go home. Will you pack up books for soldiers at that point?
No, there is still. We just don't focus on Afghanistan and Iraq. We send books to all the naval ships at sea. We have troops in South Korea and Germany and Italy and France and all over the world, and we send books to all soldiers deployed globally. So it's just not Afghanistan.
Right. Okay. So how do people in Second Life get in touch with this?
If they're in Second Life, they can go to the Books for Soldiers pavilion or join the group Books for Soldiers, and we send out a little newsletter there, or they can just go directly to the web at booksforsoldiers.com and get started there.
Well, I tell you what, I for one am certainly going to have a look at my bookshelves and sort of things that might actually play out pretty well, in combat or even mock combat support the boys and girls over there, because it's a pretty wonderful thing that you're doing. Stormbear Hitchcock, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Thank you so much.